Go. Hold on to your hats, kids. Today is going to be a wild ride. We have the fabulous Brandon Thomas on the show from Expanding Reality podcast. I've titled it Freedom and Sovereignty, but you know what? We're going to go down those rabbit holes. We've got a lot to talk about. Deliberate creation, toroidal spheres, who we are as beings of consciousness. It's going to be so much fun. Thanks for joining. Stay tuned.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
G'day. Welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal. Do that, hit the wrong button. Here we go. On 107.7 and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio all over the place. We are having a conversation with the fabulous Brandon Thomas. Welcome to the show, darling one.
Oh, I adore you so much. We were just talking about this, and as I was grabbing my cup of coffee before we kicked live here, I was out there just bragging on you to the wife. I'm like, she's just such a delight. And of course you are. So everybody out there who's listening and listened to her for a long time, first of all, write in, let her know how much you love her. Second of all, she's a delight. Off camera, she is just as sweet, if not sweeter. So just thank you so much. She's accommodating to the guests. She does so much for us, guys. She really puts in all the effort. And Karen, we just want to thank you. So thank you.
I need to label you. You're the most complimentary person I've ever met in my entire life. Mr. Positive, come up with a name. I want to shout out to Mary, who's watching. It's Brandon's beautiful wife. Hey, Mary, good to see you. So for those, there's Mish and Shirley online. G'day. Mish says g'day.
G'day. I love that. You know that I've been replacing the word morning, and we're going to talk about words and using your word as your wand this day as well. I don't know what part of the world you're in today, because for you, Karen, it's in the future from my perspective, and I'm in the past from yours. This is just an interesting thing. But yes, g'day, everyone.
G'day. Look, I was listening to Ross Coulthart talking, and I was reading some of the comments. I love Ross Coulthart. You know who Ross is? He's actually born in New Zealand, grew up in Australia, spent time in London. He's a bit of a global, lives between the States and Australia. But he's on News Nation talking about UAP. Anyway, every time he comes on, he says g'day. And in one of the comments, someone wrote, no matter how hard he tries, Ross just never seems to be able to get good day right. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
G'day. I tell you what, Brandon does the best Australian accent. Most Americans really botch the Australian accent, but you've got it nailed.
Oh, that's not true, It's a bit of a call.
He's an honorary Aussie, Brandon.
I launch into cuss words after that. That's most of it for me. Australians, I have this passion in y'all's way of speaking, and we honestly got an opportunity to go to Australia. We flew into Melbourne and then went north up to Bendigo and then up into New South Wales. There's a little Gunbarrow Island up there, and we married Ksenia Moore, who you know. Beautiful astrologer, and that's a shout out to her as well, and her boo David Warner Matheson, who has about 12 books on this shelf back here. He is awesome. So that was an honor, and my beautiful bride and I got to go out there and do that. And so your country is gorgeous. The way you speak has so much passion. We met nothing but amazing folks, and I will say though that we saw 7 dead kangaroos before we saw a live one, just due to roadkill. And then we were like, hey, there's a living one. So that was great. And Ksenia ended up saying, look, we got to get you a live kangaroo experience. Took us through the outback, and it's just incredible. The whole place is magical. But you guys have this passion in your voice, and Mary and I have always had something for Australia in our hearts since we grew up with Crocodile Dundee, of course, was the seed planted in our garden. And we just have such a sweet place for that in our hearts. And we're both born and raised in Texas, and it feels a lot like Australia. The part we went to felt very at home, and it was just awesome. We were operating the vehicle on the other side of the vehicle. But other than that, it was really awesome.
Driving on
Yeah, it
the
was like
vehicle.
a 24-hour trip to get there. It was like a 4-hour plane ride and then a 16-hour plane ride. And then we immediately hopped into a car that I'd never driven on that side of the road before, and then did that for 2.5 hours north. It was awesome. We got a flat white in this trailer at probably the best coffee I've ever had in my life. And it was just this little trailer off of Mastodon. There's a little, I guess, natural volcanic outcrop there called Mastodon. And we got coffee and flat whites and then walked around out there. That's the other thing about Australia. You guys don't have percolators out there. You don't believe in just throwing sand in there. You do the full espresso. We went through the line at McDonald's to grab something right outside the airport, and it was espresso machine as far as the eye could see.
Absolutely. Percolators are a thing of the past.
I know.
They're like, they're so 90s, 80s, 90s. They're yesterday's news. Yeah.
The Italian influence on you guys went straight to espressos, and you guys just skipped the percolator phase that we did, and so it's awesome.
We had percolators. I can remember them when we were kids, actually. Let me tell you a little bit about Brandon. I want you to play. I love he's got a podcast show called Expanding Reality, diving down a million different rabbit holes. And I love your intro. Your intro is one of the best intros. It's so cool. I want you to play that. But yeah, Brandon is a native of Texan, as we've talked about, who boasts a non-religion diction in his life of questioning that has presented before him as facts and led him down a fascinatingly unique path of self-discovery and deep exploration, which he shares in the form of his mind-bending conversations with the most remarkable guests on his podcast show, Expanding Reality. The expansion of consciousness, cleverly disguised as a podcast, can be found everywhere that podcasts are enjoyed. I love that you said that, because this is what these podcasts are. Like, most people think of podcasts as, entertainment, but it's really the expansion of consciousness, cleverly disguised as a podcast show. I hope that all our conversations that we have on this show make people think, make people awaken, make people reveals their truth self, make people really look.
My favorite on that, do you know who Barbara DeLong is?
Barbara DeLong.
Yeah.
No.
She's amazing. She's all in this world. She's an author. She's incredible. She does, she makes her own card decks and paints them and everything. Okay, we've got to get you connected. She's an experiencer, very, very cool. Anyway, her thing was, damn it. She said that she got to trick people, convince people or trick people. I forget how she said it, but she's adorable. This little old lady. And she said, I tricked people into coming on my show and teaching me something new for 2 hours. And I thought that was a really cute way to kind of put what we do, because that's the thing. You and I started this because we heard other shows where we heard other people and we're interested in these topics, but we hadn't heard the questions asked that were rolling around in our hearts. And we wanted the opportunity to do that. And that's what we're doing. And so it's really, really cool. You're right. This doesn't feel like an interview. And I've never called my show an interview show. It's conversations, man. That's it.
Yeah, well, I've had Brandon on the show before where we went over your story, and I was listening to it the other night, going over it again, and it's just the most hilarious show. Like, you were just cracking me up before we even pressed record, talking about cat jewels. And anyway, it's a fabulous conversation. I encourage people to go, and it's on the link in the description if people want to see more, and go and listen to Brandon's experience. But what I love about you is your ability to catch people out. You've done it with me, with thinking, because we talk about deliberate creation is the reason that I started the podcast show. I listened to Frasier, that silly show Frasier, sprouting all this sort of useless information as a psychiatrist. And I had this thought, wouldn't it be amazing if there were people on radio teaching us self-empowerment, like teaching us about the power of our thinking and the power of our emotions and the power of our thoughts, and how to be deliberate creators, how to be deliberate in our thinking. And so I put it to a friend of mine who's a psychic, and she said, let's do it. And so she encouraged me to start the show. And then when I went on a radio in Sydney, we couldn't get people to ring up and ask questions. So that's when I started interviewing people, just hearing their story, because within everybody's story reveals that sort of aspect of how I create. I went through hell, I died, I went through hell, and it reveals that connection to that inner being, that inner knowing, that higher self, that power. And you're the same, but you're somebody that really knows how to not live it and how to really live it. Because I've heard you say, I've had such dark nights of the soul where I just was eyeing the gun, and that shocked me on the last show. You said, I'm like, really? And then you know how to pull yourself out of that.
It took a lot, and at times it was spite, honestly, and I can say that for a lot of folks, maybe who don't have somebody that is as lucky as I am with my wife, and really the support that I had that you run from at that time. You don't there's nothing that
You
can
do.
come in unless you've already got it, that is going to be there, and even your blessings are burdens at that point. And so it's the darkest, right? And that's part of my path here. For some reason, I just needed to go in and say, okay, I've sort of dedicated to finding out where my edges are, and to know where your edges are, you got to go to them and not go, oh yeah, I can see that mountain way over there, but you can't see it. You see it from a distance. You have a vantage point, but I mean, it could be giving you the 50-yard fake. It could be just a painted wall with a mountain on it, which could just illuminate your whole world and send you completely upside down. You don't know. You got to go to it and touch it, right, and see. Just like the Truman Show, right? He had to float the boat out there and ended up bumping into a wall with stairs in it, and then that was a completely different realm for him. So it's this idea of being able to transform yourself, but not being scared of who you are, because the darkness that I was experiencing, that I sort of at the time would outsource to demons or to the hell realm, and we're being fed on by archons and loosh. And I'm not saying that that's not what's happening. I'm just saying that whenever you get over that, if that is what's happening, it bothers you, then it's really interesting. But honestly, the darkest parts of it were, I mean, fucking dark, dude. There was a buddy of mine. I'm not gonna say his name, but a dear friend of mine who it got really dark for him at the same time, and it was Karn, and it was one thing after another. It just kept hitting and hitting and hitting. It there was a young kid who ended up losing his life right around this time, and he was just a young kid, and it was really, really rough. His mom contacted me on Instagram through his account. That was tough. And then another friend of mine who I was telling you about, that I'm not going to mention his name, he lost his wife, and I was there through that. We spoke through the process last 6-8 months of her being diagnosed with cancer, him raising 3 babies by himself, treating her in a hospital, and then losing her. And we would text each other, and he would say, "Hey man, do you want to talk each other out of committing suicide today?" And if you hear that sentence and you go, "Oh my God, and this is awful," then it is, guys. Okay, it's not ideal, is what I will say, but there is a humor in the darkness that if you've got some allies and you can at least keep your North Star. The thing that I would continue to say to myself is, where's the gift? Where's the gift? I know that there's a gift in here somewhere. I know
Yeah.
that I am going through this, and I know that the only way out is through. I know, though, that I could also retreat back and go into old habits and patterns, but that's way more uncomfortable. It's like in the movies where there's like a wall of spikes moving behind you, and you're snaking through this thing, but if you go backwards, like you die. And that is soul death to me, right? Going back to this. Now there's sort of an idea of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And that's the cha-cha, that's not setback. You're dancing at that point. And that is a fun, interesting thing to play with as well, because it's showing fucks, no fucks, fucks, no fucks. And it's this middle path of weaving in and out of this that I feel is the true nature of this. And I really do think that the out there realm is a reflection of a movie that's here to motivate you, which is to move energy, move E. E is for energy, move E, move energy. I said it like that for a reason. We'll come back to it. And
Oh.
is to influence the creators here to create. And we're going to go deep on this.
Oh, definitely. 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 I want to say something when you were talking about I'm looking for the gift. I'm looking for the gift. An image popped to mind of a joke. They put this optimistic kid in a room full of manure, and he was laughing and dancing, do you know this, and having this great old time. And when he came out of the room, in a room full of shite, they said, "Why are you so happy?" And he said, "With all this, there must be a horse in here somewhere."
See, that's wonderful. That's what I'm talking about.
Looking for the gift, but what I want to know is what is the thought? What is the thought that is so damaging? Is it like, I'm bored with life, I just don't want to be here, there's no purpose? Like, what are the thoughts that are making you feel like, I'm out of here, I'm done?
Spiral is what it is. And so it's not one thought, it's a domino of thoughts that then become a tidal wave that then pull you under, that you feel like you can't swim against. And at the moment you can't, and your job is to drown in it. And I'll be honest with you, that's your job. It's to drown, it's to suffer, it's to feel that. It's what's referred to as, I mean, it can also be noted that I was going through at my time what's called my midlife transits, which is 3 transits in astrology. My wife's an astrologer, and this is another thing. My dark night of the soul got her into astrology. Check out Esoteric Astromancy on Instagram and TikTok. She's got a page there. She does these really cool memes about all the cycles that are running through. And so she has helped me a ton, but it was my dark night of the soul. She was going, why does my husband all of a sudden want to kill himself? Why is he giving up? Why is he in such a torturous mindset? No hope. Like there was no fucking hope. And it's again, it needed to, now from this side of it, I see it and I get it. I have so much respect for it and I appreciate it. And it's to what I was saying about us being creators. Okay. And you mentioned it, deliberate creators. You've got it. Now, something I feel that you and I can understand and stay together 100% is that we feel like we are creators. And if we think that there is a creator out there, then what we can say is that creator created creators, right? So if we are the
say that again, creator created creators, creator created creators. I love it. Are you saying inner stand instead of understand? Are you saying that? Yeah, inner stand. So
I'm glad you asked. We're going to talk about
word magic
and casting. Making your word is your wand, and we're going to talk about it. Word magic. You're casting spells, and this is why they call it spelling when you're writing, right? This is why people in prison have prison sentences. Maybe you are speaking your prison sentence and you don't even know it, but we can talk about it. And there's a few words, and I'm gonna put out energetically, and we're gonna decide on which one you'd like to continue using. It's a great exercise. So we'll go over words for sure. More specifically, we will just talk about understand real quick. So down this process, and you've got the title of this. Sovereignty and freedom on one graphic that I saw. And what I've been understanding lately is that our word is our wand. And if you look at something like Harry Potter and you see the you see Hermione correcting homeboy about saying, no, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa, right? And so being very specific about pronunciation, and they're using Latin, by the way, it dovetails very nicely with what I've been doing in my trust community. We have a whole community of people who are building and creating trusts and taking accountability for their banking. We've found that public banking is not for us anymore. And so by allowing yourself to work within the private, you truly become free. And I feel like a lot of the bread and circus that's around here, the political things that are going on, the circus, okay, I just call it a circus, and I'm not interested in it. But I feel that a lot of that stuff is to distract from the path that I have found of freedom. I made a lot of moves on my end. I started into this path about 3.5, almost 4 years ago, and I made significant moves, and I feel incredible. I've never felt more free. My speech has changed. And one of those things has been the idea of jurisdiction. So let's say, for instance, the easiest way to say this is okay, because there's so many examples without much context of needing a larger picture. If anyone asks you, let's say a judge, for instance, do you understand me? Now, if you were to say yes, because you feel that word in that context means to comprehend at a deep level, you would be incorrect. You'd be misunderstanding the word as it's written in law and as it's written in spell casting, which is what law takes advantage of. And law is fascinating when you really look at it. You start to get into words like in prioria persona, one's proper person. You look at a word like ens legis, which is your all caps name, which is a homunculus, essentially, to our world. It's a tulpa. It's a legal fiction that's created at your birth, and you get a QSIP, you get a birth number and all of that. And you operate that thing if learning properly, but if not, somebody else is using it for you. All you have to know is how to use it, how to use the correct language, how to honestly fill out the right paperwork, and stand on what you're saying. If you were to say understand, you are automatically, as far as the law definition goes, and I have a stack of Oxford and Black Law dictionaries back there, then you would be saying that you stand under the authority of that court. And that court is most likely going to be maritime if the fringe around it's gold. And there are all sorts of ways to tell. You can ask about the order and proceedings. We operate in equity or common law, not this maritime thing. So your speech is what opts you in or out to servitude, and it's all voluntary.
So are you saying that the word understand is something that they use in courts, and when they kind of give you the rules and regulations, then they say, do you understand me? And then you say, yes, you're agreeing to stand under their rules and regulations.
Their authority, more specific.
Their authority. But like we use that word understand in normal language when we're not in court. And there's a meaning that we've given it that is outside of the meaning that the courts have given it. So the meaning that's manifesting in our lives, or that's creating in our lives, is the meaning we're giving it. Like I have a friend, an Indigenous friend. She's like the United Nations. She's got so many countries inside her, but also original. Again, another word, not Aboriginal. Ab meaning not original, but the original people of Australia. There's a word for you. Anyway, she says, never say mourning, because mourning means grieving. When you're mourning someone, good morning, you're grieving, mourning. And so she never says good morning. But when I say good morning to somebody, it's a greeting that I feel is a happy thing. And so I've given it a different meaning than what the word actually means. So the magic is not in the word, but in the meaning you give it, in the feeling that you evoke when you say the word, right?
Ideally, okay, and it's all to do about it. Intent is important, but very clearly and very specifically, it is specific, and it needs to be. And follow me here. So if we both play instruments together, I have a guitar, you have a guitar, I say it's in this key, and then you play in a different key the same exact riff, okay? It's not going to be in sync. It's not going to mean what I needed it to mean musically. That's what your voice is doing. This is an instrument. This is a spell casting. Your word is your wand. So you are casting spells with that thing every time any little utterance comes out of your face. So if you and I are playing something and you say, well, I have the intent because I'm playing the same lick, the same fingering position, but I'm not playing the same notes because energetically, vibrationally, frequently, I think that's the word, there's a tone to it, okay? There's a matched pitch that's necessary. Again, it's not leviosa, it's leviosa, right? So there's a frequency. Whenever people are singing, they go to harmonize, to hit this correctly, which what's this all about? Harmony, not balance, harmony. And we're going to talk about the energetics of that word as well. Harmony here is when you have them all on pitch and on key, but it takes one locking in, the other, then the other. If one's a little off, that's okay. Not throw everything out, just make the other two are doing great. Just get this other one in harmony, right? So that's the thing. If we shift you up a key, or if I just throw a capo on the end there, now we're in the same key. Now we're on the same language and speaking the same language. What's really important about this as well that I've understood is that capitalization, also paying attention to punctuation, is huge in this. And a lot of people say, oh, it's school. Yeah, guys, like I said, I have a stack of dictionaries back here that's usurped my alien research. And this is important. This usurped all of that stuff. I'm learning Latin in a new way, and it's how to make sure that I don't jurisdict in. Now, I hear you on what you're saying about the understand word, and that when you say it, you have the intention of it being something different. But in court, if you were to stand there in front of a judge later on when you're sitting in your jail cell, if that's what occurs because you decided to jurisdict in by using simple language, which is how they've done this, by the way, then you will be in that cell because your words don't mean what they mean to you in court. They mean what it means to the law, to the spell casting that's bound everyone into the system. You've got to use the system and the spells to unbreak yourself.
Well, that's why we all need to learn. Oh, I'm getting feedback. That's why we all need to learn to communicate telepathically, because inside telepathic communication, there's none of that. There's none of this misunderstanding and what words mean, because telepathic communication is, you can't get things wrong through telepathic communication, because you just have a complete knowing. All your feelings are engaged, like your inner side is engaged. You hear, you feel, you smell. It's maybe that's why it has been sort of said, it's woo-woo, it's nonsense. It's been, all psychic ability has been like pushed under over the last, 100 years or so.
You want to know why I'm not that interested in that? And meaning I'm not interested in acquiring or playing into the telepathy game is for two reasons. Number one, I'm interested in privacy. Okay. I've got my own mind and I like my thoughts, and there's a process that's occurring that if anyone was to be let in on, we'd all be locked the fuck up. Let's be honest. So there's no interest in me to have something invasive in my mind. I felt like that's what occurred in my dark night, and I'll never feel like that again. Number two, the word is how we're speaking and casting our spells. I feel that if anybody's really pushing this, we should all go telepathic psyop. It's just that. It's a psyop so that we stop speaking and so that we can't cast spells. If you think about what the Greys, what's described as with the Greys, do they make a lot of noise? Do they even have mouths in most cases.
Yeah, no.
So I would think that they are not spellcasters as we are, because we have the potential and ability to cast our reality with our speech, which is probably exactly how it's working. And it's all sound. If you think about it, how did God create this bitch in the beginning of Genesis? Did he fart it into reality? Did he?
Well, sound is just vibration that you're hearing through the apparatus of your ears, but vibration is existing whether you can hear it or not, right? So sound is existing. So sound is also light. Light is vibration that you're interpreting through the cones and rods in your eyes. So we created this world through vibration. Thoughts create vibration, whether you hear them or not. So your thoughts are creating the vibration, the frequency of your thoughts are creating, whether you hear them or not. You know, like people who are deaf and dumb still are creators, and they're not speaking.
Yeah, and it's not, right. And it's not to limit anybody who's got like a mute thing or anything like this. This is not to malign or anything like that. What I mean to say is I understand how important the word is. You and I connected over the word. If you and I sat here, we couldn't do telepathy, and we're sitting here just staring at each other, we wouldn't have gotten to know each other so deeply. What's fascinating about the realm in which we find ourselves and being the type of creators we are and creating in the way that we are is limiting ourselves in speech in all kinds of ways. We're not flying around right now. We're not doing all that stuff yet. But in speech, we need to be able to take something in our mind and articulate it out into something else. And I feel that this, what some people would say is hindrance or inability or anything like that, is one of our greatest allies for creation. It forces creation. It forces creativity. When you sit there and you struggle for a new word, or you then are curious about a new word and you go research, and then something comes to mind and you're attempting to articulate it and you can't really get it down, and so you turn to a pen and pad and you attempt to scribe it out or draw it, or you have a psychedelic experience, there's no way to and it's ineffable. You can't articulate it. So how do you take all of this stuff that you experience in what seems like a different plane? It seems from here up, right? It's just kind of a different concoction, a different chemistry of ideals, of situations, of densities. And then how do you take that and put it here? Or how do you take that and put it into your hands and create? You know, because even mute people create with their hands. They're artists, they're poets. And that's the whole point, right? It's articulation through expression. It's moving energy that way.
Moby says something really interesting here. I think
Hi, Moby.
there definitely is something about sound and words. When I astral project, I heard the om sound so clearly, and other people have also heard the om or sound as well. Yeah, sound is vibration. Vibration happens on all levels of existence. Everything is frequency and vibration, everything. But as I say, sound is something that we're interpreting. So you think telepathy is a psyop? I teach people about telepathy. I'm a big thing about telepathy because, when you do telepathically communicate, like you're communicating with spirit or dead people or spirit guides or whatever you want to, ETs or whatever you want to communicate with. You can communicate telepathically with animals, with trees, with planets, with cosmoses, with universes. People are communicating with their three-eye atlas. That was a question somebody was talking about in the group this morning. What's the three-eye atlas got to say? So it is a different form of communication, and it is a more complete form of communication, but it's still vibration. It's still vibration that you're interpreting through a greater sense, more than your eyes, ears, nose, like the five senses that we have. So yeah, it is a greater form of communication, and you don't get things wrong.
And I have friends who are Pisces who will interact with folks in a way that they can articulate, and they will connect and communicate with folks that can articulate. So they'll bridge gaps where I find commonality in grounding, because I'm an earth sign, I think. And so I am an earth sign. I think I enjoy grounding because of it, is what I mean to say here. So within that process, I find connection to be very important. Talking like this, speaking, you and I, we create a third thing here, which also we're going to talk about the Trinity, because I feel like this whole realm is offering us the second part to the catalyst, a third thing, which is the creation, which is what you and I express here. You and I get together, entities, and we create a third thing called this conversation, and it attracts all sorts of people. Mish, Heidi, Z-Sun, what's up, Moby? Everybody in the chat here, and everybody, I'm not seeing the YouTube one, just the private one here. But anyway, hi guys. So it's this third thing that we all get to enjoy together, but it's from a perspective. And I've always said this as well, like no one's got it all figured out. If we did, it'd be boring as shit. I feel like this is one huge escape room. It's a game that we're all playing together, and we all have great skills that we bring to it, but no one brings the same skills, which is why allowing everyone to be the most authentically themselves is so important. This is why getting
I've got,
everyone to express themselves authentically is so
absolutely. I've got to tell you something about articulating something. As a psychic, when I'm given information, the hardest thing to do is to find words that are clearly describing what you're perceiving.
There you go.
That's, as a psychic, that's one of the hardest things, because our English language is so limited in that respect. Yeah, and there are people like Esther Hicks. I know you know Esther Hicks and Paul Selleck and different channels that have more of a mastery of the human language, of the English language, I should say, English language, and they can articulate, you know, complex concepts and bring it into a simple inner standing or understanding, inner standing that can speak to the logical mind of people, so that they can really, I want to use the word, understand what is being communicated. But yeah, that's the hardest part, finding, because the English language is so limited. But yeah, telepathy doesn't limit that. Like when you're receiving information, when you're connecting with somebody, this is something that my mother taught me after she died. She came to me in the shower one day, and I had this sensation of her standing next to me as a physical being. But I wasn't hearing her through my auditory, like I wasn't hearing words or seeing her, but I was feeling her energy. And it made me think, now that she's dead and out of the body, like when you stand with someone, even when you're on, you know, StreamYard or Zoom, you are connected to their energy. You're feeling that person as an empath, and everybody's empathic. You're feeling that person. It's not necessarily about conversation. Haven't you ever sat with Mary and had a conversation without speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of communication going on outside of words. A lot of communication, probably more communication than that. But I get what you're saying about the potency of words, absolutely, and that they are spells, and that the people that did, you know, create the English language sort of maybe created it to like dumb us down more.
Here we go. And that leads us to the next exercise. So why understand is so important for me to replace is because of the energy of the word. So I sort of see words as a synesthesia. So folks who see sound as color, things like this, I see words as energy. And so as I feel a word, as a sentence is spoken, the word citizen has never set right for me. And that's going to come back in a minute. I would hang American flags upside down in my apartments when I'd just gotten out of high school and things like this. Like I had this disdain for this authoritarianism. And I've always had what's called oppositional defiance. Some people put a disorder on the end of it when in psychology, but I'm going to go and drop the disorder and call it a superpower. Oppositional defiance has gotten me so fucking far. And it's simply being able to take a situation and go, well, maybe not, you know, or maybe that's different, or, you know, I'd like to know more about this or understand more about this. And then when I got to the word understand, it always felt weird. The word under and then stand. And it was always, whenever it was, and honestly, when it was presented, it was, do you understand me? Do you understand? Right. And so I'm getting like childhood chills. I know, and I apologize. Everybody take a couple deep breaths. Okay, there we go. So it was always in that context. And so I've been brought up to mistrust that word. And I feel like I've been narrating my life from the past this whole damn time, because the things I'm interested in are key things for me now. The things that I've expressed at a younger age that I thought would never matter or whatever are coming back and like, holy I can't believe all of this fit together so well. And that everything I was attracted to, no matter what anybody said, and I followed it, it all came back to be important now. And I get the chills thinking about this, Karin, because this has changed my life. Being able to look at something and go, that doesn't feel right, but then actually speaking up for it, right? The most dangerous sentence ever spoken by humanity is, well, that's just the way we've always done it. And if you just sit there and say, well, understand means that word, and so that's just the way we've always done it, and I'm trained to say that, and so there you go. Another one is sorry. Let's cap this real quick. We'll do a few words on this. So I'm going to offer you a couple of energetic replacements. And if you'd like to, do it, guys. You know, if not, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I just love Karin, so I'm just hanging out with her. But, thank you guys for hanging out too. So understand. So what I've come to understand, and there's a guy named Jim Gale. He runs Food Forest Abundance. I cannot shout on this guy enough. He lives in Florida. He turns your front yard, instead of like mowing grass, he turns it into a garden for your family and shows you how to do this and gives you architectural plans based on where the sun travels. And he's incredible. This guy, first year on the show we met, and he said this. He said, well, I understand that and I understand this. And it stuck with me. And I was like, huh, we're going to get to it, dude. Who was that said that? Mish, we're going to get to it. Don't worry about it. He said, understand this, understand that. And he goes, oh, yeah. And he just breezed over it real quick. And it stuck with me. He never pointed it out. He moved on like it was nothing. And I was just like, huh. And it stuck with me. And then I get into the sovereignty movement that I've been in, not sovereign citizen. That's an oxymoron. That's a very different thing. That's a confusion. That's not what I'm doing. And I got to the understand language, and I saw that by that language, you jurisdicted in under an authority that we were seeing, recognizing, and abstaining from, not fighting against, abstaining from. It's a voluntary system. You simply recognize where you're at and say, no, thank you. So in that process, your language is what binds you to this shit. When you look at state of Texas, if I were to tell you state of Texas, Karin, the state of all capital letters, Texas all capital letters, is not the same as the landmass on which I find myself, which is in the Republic. There are at least 3 different Americas going on here, and your language chooses which level you're playing the game at. And I'm playing it in the common law, in the Republic, in equity court, where if there is an injured party, that's when we talk about something. None of this frivolous bunch of nonsense for the mafia for money. I'm no longer in that program. Now, let's get to some words. Okay, so I heard the S word, and I'm not going to call it the S word. There are 2 cuss words in our house, and they are sick and sorry, and we're going to talk about both of them. So, Mish, sorry is one of the biggest ones. This is one of the biggest ones, guys, because your folks are going to train you to say you're sorry. You need to say you're sorry. Say you're sorry. Sorry. First of all, let's all sit with the word sorry. If you feel like repeating it in your head with the word I'm in front of it, go ahead. But think about the way that that makes you feel. Does it make you feel like that you've done something, that you are appeasing the other person because you have wronged them in a certainly awful way? You could just simply apologize for that. You could say, I apologize, or apologies, rather than I'm this word that then attaches an energy to me. Now, sorry is a verb. That's a state of being, just like waiting or looking or something like that. It's a verb. So if you are sorry, then that's a disposition, and you are casting, remember guys, your word is your wand. So if you're saying I'm that word, you are making sure that your reality presents situations in which you need to make sure that that energy is felt consistently, because this is a place I've seen this, and it's not, I'm not going to use the word manifestation because I'm not there with that anymore. I departed from that pretty hard. And so what I will say is the practical application for me, somebody who needed to ground it more. Some folks can use that word because there's so many different energetic concepts at play here. You know, nobody's got it figured out. For me, what worked was to ground the concepts. And whenever I saw what words and speech did and energies behind it, I replaced things. Busy and productive are another one. Okay. I am never busy. Busy is a state of being. Busy is, you can be in a rocking chair, and a rocking chair will get you somewhere, but not get, or it gives you something to do, doesn't get you anywhere. Okay. So this idea of busy versus productive. What if somebody says, how are you doing? You say, oh, I'm so busy. I mean, what does that feel like? Already the energy is going, blah, 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 or, oh, I'm too hectic to allow you a moment to show you that you're a human being and that I can acknowledge your existence for a smile and a cup of coffee. It's a throw off. It's a, oh, and if you are that busy, I mean, dude, just this realm offers you opportunities in all sorts of ways. And if you feel that busy is a word that you're using rather than swapping it out for productive, then start there. Maybe just kind of take a deep breath, see where your life is at. And I get, we're all thinning out. We're all making a bunch of different choices. Things are all changing, guys. And you're all doing great, by the way. Just want to tell everybody, if you are here and you're doing this, beautiful people in the chat, thank y'all for the kind comments. You are doing great. But what I will say about this also is this is not going to get saner. It's going to get wilder and louder and noisier and crazier and attempt to get your attention more. And we'll talk about why. But the word sorry to me, you bump someone in the supermarket, you hear 12 going on around you. And now now that you have this seed planted in your garden, you water them or not. That's all. That's my job. I'm a seed sower. I'll sow seeds. You water the ones you want. Let the other ones go to rot. If you water this seed, you will see it all over the place. And then what may occur, I'm not going to give you a coloring book, colored in for you here, but what may occur is you may find yourself catching yourself using that word. Now, when this occurs, catch it. Don't feel bad about it. Okay. There seems to, in my experience, as I've watched folks go through this process, that they'll use a word and go, oh, God dang it. Oh, I'm so, just calm down. Okay. It is unlearning. And this is learn, unlearn, learn, unlearn, learn, unlearn, learn, unlearn, repeat. That's it. We reach temporary truths here, guys. No true truths. There's no true truths but what you decide. You're going to reach a place that's awesome, decided it's awesome for a little while, either get bored and go back, either get scared and go back, either get bored and move on, or stay there. And that's fine. But either way, it's temporary truth. There's always more truth, air quotes, to be found here, because that's a very subjective process, and you determine it, and it's RAS, it's all kinds of stuff. But if we're looking at energy of words, sorry is a big one, guys. Now that you see it, I would encourage that if you'd like to, Mish right here, I apologize, is my backup, LOL. Well, Mish, what if you just inverted that, right? This realm is built on inversion anyway, and everything out there gets inverted in your mind, projected through your prefrontal cortex, and you think about it, you interpret it, and then it presents itself as an image to you. So why wouldn't you just do the same with this? And this idea of flipping the script is the biggest hack ever. It's looking out there and saying, maybe not. What if we looked at it upside down? And usually that's where the truth is, honestly, guys. I'll tell you that the thick stuff offers you a lot of reverence to turn away from it and then find what's behind you, not what's loud and out there. And by behind, I mean enfolded within. It's a very interesting process. But let's do another word. What's another one? Anybody else got a word and energetically in the chat they want to throw in there? Karen, do you have one?
So, so you don't say I don't apologize instead of sorry. What do you say?
I do say apologies. I do not say I'm sorry, because I'm sorry is the state of being that tells your cells that you are sorry and that the world around you should see you and view you and treat you as such. And so, no, that one I don't. Oh, sick. Sick is another one. That's another one. Oh, are you sick?
We had this discussion last time actually about sick, because, you know, the younger generation, well, even like 20 years ago, were using sick as the word, as they had inverted it instead of saying.
Think about that.
They're like, that is totally sick, man, thinking, you know, sick meaning awesome. So they're using a word, but they have a different meaning behind it. So
but
again, it's the meaning.
And how many kids got sick during that time? I would want to know what, you know, the ratio of sick kids were during that time.
Well, it depends. Again, I think it depends on the meaning that you give it. Absolutely, the meaning that you give it.
I agree that intent is part of it, but the word itself, those consonants, those syllables, the way that our mouths phrase them in the particular language is what's important. When Harry Potter's doing a spell, he doesn't just go, he's got to say some shit to it, and it's got to be right too.
You've got to describe that, because remember we're on radio as well. So when Harry Potter's doing a spell,
I pointed to my head and didn't say anything, guys, and waved an imaginary wand. And now he's got to say freaking Chumbawamba or something, right? He's got to cast a spell vocally. That's the point. And the whole point too is it's your vocal signature. So it's like a thumbprint. It's no two voices are the same. And this is what's so important about this. And again, back to the Bible, it was spoke into existence. I feel that everything we see here, all the light, is just vibration slowed down, and all of it comes from sound. This whole place is a sound bath. And if we look at astrology and how the planets or the luminaries out there, whatever they are and whatever they're doing, whatever those things do, it's musical. It influences us. And the way that I feel about it, it's like when Jupiter comes by, it's like the trombone section, bom, 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 coming through the symphony as it's coming around, and you get a strong influence on that. And then, oh shit, Mars is in there at that time too. He's freaking running around, whatever he's doing, right? And so you have sound coming at you at all times. That's what all of this is. This is a huge sound bath in my mind. Again, because we're given that from inception.
I'm just going to acknowledge a couple of people. So Zan is saying, so if I accidentally bump into someone, what do I say? Well, we've discussed that. Instead of saying I'm sorry, you say apologies. Apologies. Or you can say,
you can apologize. Here,
thanks for the dance.
Yeah, let's leave that up. Let's get a couple. Okay, so
and Moby wants to know, curious to hear what Brandon thinks about the hopo ono opono. I hope I never know how to say that word. Hopo pono pono.
My answer to Z Sun and Moby are the same, and it would be
what?
Okay, so Z-Sun, this is a fart machine, a little fart maker that I keep in my pocket in public, and it's a pattern interrupting tool that if somebody bumps into you, set this off in your pocket. Give them a little burp whenever you bump into them. We all have a good laugh. You pattern interrupt their day, and everything is good. Now, curious to hear what Brandon thinks about Ono as well. I don't know. And so honestly, that was just a silly answer to the Hopo. Oh no, would you refresh me about that, Mobe?
Well, the word, I don't know if he's talking about the word, but the practice of hopo, I know, that I can never say,
Sounds like you're falling off a cliff or something.
yeah, using the word I'm sorry. It says, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. What is it? Moby? It's 4 words. It's I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. There you go. That's what it is. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you.
Yeah.
So the guy that created it was a Hawaiian guy. He sat outside an insane asylum. Maybe I've got the wrong, identity for the place where people were suffering. And he said that prayer, and the people inside were healing. So he was taking on their karma or whatever and healing them energetically by saying the word, I'm sorry, please forgive me.
I think a lot of these literal spell castings come from Latin, and our language seems to originate from something that came from Latin. So if you've got something like that, the Ho'oponopono doesn't sound like that. It sounds like an indigenous translation, which has a lot of meaning. In circle cultures outside of pyramid cultures, which would exist in a different ecological climate, really do have a different way of going about this. No magic ever left their culture. So there's no way to have languages and explain this stuff. They've got it locked in their own special way. For the folks like us who have been indoctrinated and told, here is how you speak in no other way, and these words mean this in no other way, even though dictionaries are right there and you could use them, a lot of folks are steered away from doing that because it's a nerd. I'd rather watch the football game. I'd rather drink beer. I'd rather go do this. I'd rather go chase, tame strange, whatever. So if you've got this idea that words are silly and words are dumb, that's been programmed into you. And I'm telling you guys, I put down the UFO books and all the really cool shit, and I traded it out for the U.S. Constitution. Here it is, right here. Read the shit out of it. The 14th Amendment of this thing is what got everybody into involuntary servitude after the 13th Amendment took them out of chains. The 14th Amendment created what's called the citizen lowercase c. Okay. If it's capital, it's different. If it's a lowercase and you check that box on that form, then that means you are subscribing to be a part of a federal corporation called the United States, full stop. The lowercase, uppercase, United, uppercase States. That's a corporation. It's not real. It's only real because you participate in it. It's a tulpa. It's an idea, and it sucks. So when you guys figure this out and do a little bit of research on it, look at the 14th Amendment, and then look at 1933, what happened with the gold in this country in particular. Now, Australians, I don't know what to tell you guys. I would say Ned Kelly it up, start making suits of armor, and get your shits together. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this. What does freedom mean to you?
So government, the word government, the origin of it in Latin means governmente, means mind control. So if you look at the literal meaning of these things, it tells you that their job is to put you in a mental prison and to subvert your energy through a mental means. Their perception management is the job of the realm. Okay, now I feel that this extrapolates to the entire realm. Government was my key to it. It's not the government that's the issue. It's the bankers. It's not the single issue. They're all working together, and it is one large conspiracy, guys. I will tell you that. But
what does the word freedom mean to you?
Past all of that, you reach a level of it where you see it from a big picture that the stuff doesn't apply to you, and that mental slavery is something that you participate in willingly, and that it's not cast upon you. Freedom to me is figuring that out, seeing it, and unbinding myself from the chains mentally, because this is a complete mental guys. The enemy of yours is between your ears, right there.
Freedom, I agree. Freedom for me is freedom from suffering, because I remember in 1995 listening to a guy, he's dead now, who was incarcerated in the Vietnam War in a jail cell that was the size of a coffin. It was about 3 foot high and 6 foot long. And they would take them out maybe once a day, once a week to walk them around a yard. But he was living in, and he said he was there for 7 years. And inside that restriction, he found freedom because he could go to where his mind was free, where his consciousness was free. So freedom is freedom from suffering, regardless of our circumstances. Most people want money because they're not really wanting money because they want to be rich and buy Ferraris and yachts, but they want to be free from the worry of money. Like, I want to be free from having to think about the price of everything. I want to be free from the thought that I can't do and have what I want to do and I have. And I feel like money's going to give me that freedom. But that freedom is that freedom from the suffering that you convince yourself that you're living in, regardless of circumstances, right?
Yeah, and plus abandoning that idea, you don't get granted with, oh, okay, I get this now. You get granted with the opportunity to be asked the two questions that the reality around you, the universe is always asking you. It says, who are you? Are you sure? That's it. These are the two questions, guys. Who are you?
Are you
Are
sure?
you sure? That's it. Okay, so if you say, I'm a awesome content creator who does this for a living, I don't need anything else, this pays my entire bills. That's the who are you, okay? Now, the are you sure is you lose all your money, nobody's listening, the thing tanks, and you need to sell all your stuff just to keep doing it. That is are you sure? And a lot of people can't go through the rounds of are you sure it takes to answer the first question that they offered up, because that's it. And if you state something, you are going to be presented with a lot of times the opposite, but more astutely, the energetic match that scrubs away the thing in you that needs to go away so that you can do that thing. And a lot of times it's this idea, it's mostly ego, guys. It's a lot of trauma stuff, so you need to get in there. My walk through the darkness allowed me to see that there were at least two different motherfuckers in me. And I know we're on air, so thank you again for this shows how I speak. So at least two dudes in me. So this idea of duality really hit home with me to where I saw one is red and one is blue. And we talked about this. This whole idea extrapolates out everywhere. If you look at your hot and cold on your sinks, what are they? Red and blue. If you look at logos everywhere, what are they? Red and blue. Country flags, red and blue. You've got so many motifs of this idea of red and blue. The Matrix, what color were the two little pill options, right? So you get where I'm going here. The dichotomy, the dualistic nature of this place represented in red and blue are energetic vibrations. They're not right and wrong. They are your path being guided by a series of banks on a river as you are being flowed down it. Now, you always have the choice of hopping out on either side of that bank and spending a little time in the red zone for a little bit, but it's going to get uncomfortable. You're going to get bored. You hop back in the river. Maybe you just wanted something altogether and go on the right. Oh, God, these extremes. That you can do that for a little bit, but again, you are going to be guided back on path. It's just the way of things. And if you don't, it's resistance the entire time. What I found was in the surrender. I let myself go from my idea, what I thought was best. And years ago, I started ending anything that I wanted when I was calling it manifestation. I would end it with or something better. And those little 3 words changed my life, because I don't know the best I can come up with. Because let's say it takes a little bit of time for things to come up with. Well, my idea of awesome is going to change. So the universe compensates for that. It's an inflation rate on the dope shit that's coming to you. You've got to trust it, though. This is the idea of you like calling in a pizza and then checking on it every 5 minutes, calling the driver going, where's the pizza? Where's the pizza? You don't do that. You just order the pizza and you know it's coming, right? Don't think about it anymore. Do something. Go vacuum your house. Do something actionable in the meantime and work up a hunger for that pizza when it comes in. And this is the part that a lot of people miss. They'll request something or feel that that's what they really want, which is a whole nother fucking thing. Stick to that as their truth and their guns, and that's it. And nothing else can be the way. And then bitch about that nothing comes in. That's our experience, guys. But that, again, is a verb. Waiting is a verb. Waiting means, all right, everybody in the universe, stop bringing blessings in. This motherfucker wants to wait. Hang on. Nope. They keep using the word. Stop. You are causing this shit to stay away from you, and you're casting it with your spells. I'm telling you right now. If you change things like waiting or anything like this. So what I would do internally over the past few months specifically, and do, Karin, this is when things really went hut, is when I started asking myself better questions. Okay. So guy came on the show a while back. Andrew Benjamin was his name. Still is, probably. I said in the past tense. And he said the answer to life is the mastery of questions. And I really thought about this. This is one of those things that went bing and like rung that high bell. I was like, ooh. And I was sitting here saying,
that's what the spirit guides say. They say that you create your world not through the answers that we give you, but through the questions you ask us.
So there you go. And see, and then your interpretation of the answer, because they can only answer things. I get it. That's a beautiful way to put it. That's awesome. So I simply started saying, okay. And so I started evaluating the questions when you're out, and I'll see myself from all these multiple dimensions. I know you do this too. I'll watch myself do something and then step out of it and go, okay, how do I feel about this from over here? How's this feel over here? And I'll look at things and go, oh, wait, no, that energetically wasn't what I really wanted. Or, oh, wait, now I see where improvement can be made. And even swapping the word failure for feedback, that's a huge one. Now you're not failing at shit. You're getting feedback that then allows you to improve your creation. So
that's a great one.
feel the
Yeah.
energy of these things. And this is why this book right here, guys, it does not give all these. I think some of these are whatever, but Word Magic by Pao Chang. Highly recommend it.
Pao Chang.
It's
What
the
does it say? The powerful and
power and
occult
definitions of words.
of
Word
words.
Magic. This is volume 2. There's, it doesn't matter. Version 2, whatever. But highly recommend this, guys. Where were we?
Okay, let me ask you this question. What does the word sovereignty mean to you? Like you as in Brandon, not what does it mean for everybody else, but to you.
Governor of self.
Governor of self.
Self-government.
So in all that you've been practicing, changing your vocabulary, feeling like you're not living inside a system that's been created to enslave us, do you feel more empowered and governing of yourself?
I do. And here's a great point. I don't feel like the system was built to enslave us. I feel like the system wasn't built to enslave us so that we would go fuck this and free ourselves. But it's the catalyst for us to free ourselves. It's just folks shouldn't have been stuck in it for this long. The game is just as shocked as we all are that it's got to get this crazy to get your attention. It's just as shocked. It wants to wake us up just as badly. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. So as I see this realm as a whole, all right, I see us as a big, let's just call it a dish. Okay. I'm not going to do the flat earth thing, but let's just say we're in an enclosure, in a terrarium. Okay. Now, the goal of this terrarium is to get gas to rise to the top, but we have 2 liquid components that we're putting into the terrarium. Neither one of them by themselves are a gas. But what occurs is when they mix together and over time, and if stirred, and if offered electricity, perhaps, they create this differential. They create a distillation process that then creates a product, something else that evaporates up out of the top and can be captured and utilized for something, okay? Let's say from a systems perspective, I'm looking around this realm and that's how I see this place. When we did the interviews with Laszlo, remember that? Dr. Laszlo? Irvin Laszlo?
Oh, yes. That
Dude is a systems expert. And I was going off on this shit. And he was like, because, I only saw his forehead. So let me do this. He goes, oh, you are a good systems expert. And so he was like, this idea of systems is huge for me. Now, if you look at this as a component, then one could say the creator created creators, but the creator needed to create opportunities for the creators to create.
Yes.
So if we think about this, if we're all just sitting around, nobody's playing guitars to the level that they're making music on, nobody's making art, nobody's doing these things, if there's not hard strife and hard struggle. I'm going to say that that's just the frame of reference we have for it now, and that's because of the start of the game, how it laid out. It doesn't have to be this way. This is just where we find ourselves.
Well, I feel like you've just distilled third dimensional reality. So third dimensional reality is we create through suffering. So we're so caught up in survival that we're not usually using our imagination or our inspiration or feeling connected to spirit or our higher self, if you like, or our soul, to create something new because we're so busy, just living. But then when suffering happens, like the dark night of the soul or the death of somebody, that's why I called the book Awakened by Death, or a near-death experience or an illness, now rockets of desires are shooting out of you for something else, something different, something more. And so we're creating through the suffering. But fourth and fifth dimensional is being tapped into higher intelligence, where creation comes through being connected to that intelligence rather than creating through the problems in your life, through desire. So there's creation through spirit, or there's creation through desire. So distilling sort of that, creation through desire. And it's like you're, looking at how we have created, but we're moving out of that. I mean, there's a lot of people that have created without necessarily the need to create, but simply because they want to create, like, fashion designers, people that build beautiful houses and architecture. And there's a lot of creation in this world that has come not through the necessity to create, but through the willingness, the inspiration. And I think we're moving more into that, where life becomes easier. And so we're not suffering and on that treadmill more, so we can be more relaxed and more tapped into our higher purpose, higher self, spirit guides, whatever you want to call it, God, angels, higher intelligence. Yeah.
I love it. Yep. That's exactly it. And I think that it can be offered in that way. My path again was a pretty grounded, traumatic, like I'm just super relatable in so many ways, like a ridiculous amount of ways for the amount of shit that I've been through to be relatable and to say, look, I know what you're feeling, or I go there. I mean, it's because my role here is connection. It's one-on-one. It's this, and so I know by being more uh having more to offer to the conversation in the form of wisdom because it's been so fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So from this perspective of it, I can see that it was all fucked up for a reason, that it needed to be, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that now.
Yeah.
Before though, and going through it, it sucks, and you don't get it, and there's a lot of whys. And now though, I can see that in itself was part of the process, and that even that has such beauty and magic to it because it's getting to that state. It's standing on the edge of the cliff. It's going like this, and it's going, okay, I don't care. If a gust of wind comes right now, that's great. And wishing it and all of those things, you've got to look it in the eye and bring it to you. This is how you remove the idea of demons, because I feel like that's what they are. It's principalities. And if we look at the word principalities, that's just something in your mind manifest. So you can just as easily control that shit. And this realm offers you so many myriads of opportunities to create. Just
Yeah.
what you said, Karin, you've got to, like in my case, with first year of the show, I went to a 60-hour-a-week job that I drove 2 hours a day to go to. I did 2 shows a week. I slept 2 and 4 hours a night, and it was hell. But I did it with a smile, and I lost sleep with a smile, and because I knew that I was building towards something better, and here we are. And now, like I said, there's huge things that's right around the corner. But anyway, so what I'm saying here is
Brandon's got some exciting news that he won't tell me about because
I won't tell anyone about,
it's
because
too exciting. So we're going to wait with bated breath to hear the exciting news.
that's right.
But I want to sort of interject here. We were talking about the dark night of the soul, like the eyeing, just like eyeing the pistol, and then feeling like you're spiraling, and then coming out of that. I had a great lesson when my second husband left me for the first time, in that I went into that dark night of the soul, and I was thinking that my upset was all about my husband has left me and I want him back. And so I'm doing the work, the Byron Katie work. Is it true? Do I really want my husband? And it wasn't working for me. And what I realized was such a potent lesson was the thought that was killing me was not my husband's left and I want him back, which I thought was what it was all about. Like, please come back to me. I love you. It was, if I'm a failure, I'm useless. If I can't get a relationship, if I can't get a second relationship together, then how can I help anybody sort anything out if I'm such a failure? And in that thought of I'm a failure and I can't help anybody, it was directly bumping up against my purpose for being here on earth. And that was devastating for me. And I feel like listening to you today, it's like you have this deep intention to free people here on earth. And if you feel like you're not free yourself, then how the hell can you help anyone else feel free?
Correct.
And with every rabbit hole that you go down, everything that you explore, it is that huge intention. I'm going to find the technology to free you from your suffering. Yeah.
The suffering is asking one lane questions. And what I do best is offer distinction. I offer a perspective. I allow you to say, well, maybe not. And that's it. If I can get you to go, well, maybe not, or maybe there is another explanation, or maybe something else is possible, just simply possible, then we can take a deep breath on that. Everything is so matter of fact. And if you can loosen your belt on that, dude, that's huge. Because again, the idea of, well, that's the way we've always done it. It's not the only way, guys. And if they're presenting two things, look for the third door. There's always a third door. There's this is the key here. It's about asking better questions. So what I started asking myself was, what does it feel like to allow the highest version of me to come in? What does it feel like to allow my dreams to come in? What does it feel like to allow myself to be really, really happy with who I am and really proud of me and love the fuck out of me? Because I know I'm awesome. What does it feel like to allow that? And once I started asking that, that's when shit changed. That was the key better question. It's like if you've got a ring of keys on a door that you're attempting to unlock and you go one after another, you write your 369 50 times a day, right? And you're like, shit, that didn't work. Okay, next key. Okay, let's do the Hermetic principles. Okay, let's recite those. Oh shit, that's not it. Okay, Count of Saint Germain. Am I any of those things? Dude, it's none of that shit. You get to the key that is surrender, first of all. That unlocks the top lock. And you really commit to that. You say, fuck it, surrender. You take all your attachment out. You relax your arms. You release. That allows your nervous system to just take a damn break for a second. That next key The next one next to it is the what is it like to allow? And that's what opens the door, because that's the question right there. It's not,
Yeah.
why isn't this working for me? Why am I not enough? How could I be different? What could I be doing different? If I only, all of those things, those are spirals, and those are, and that's okay.
Vladdy says here, he's got a but underneath that though. I want you to say this to yourself, Vladdy. I have a similar thought to you did, Karen, but people showed me how much I helped them change my view. And you've got a but here. But what? So Vladdy is a young man who lives in Germany, who's an amazing, amazing light worker here on Earth. But he's surrounded by people of his generation who, you know, like the young people, they're like, I don't know, they're everything that's wrong with the world. And when you see what's wrong with the world, you can spiral into, you can just get into that spiral.
It's
and typo. That was a typo.
Right there.
Pardon?
Your power. That's what's wrong with the world. Thinking that you need somebody else to tell you how to live your life.
So tell me that thing again, the question. What does it feel like to be the better? What was the question again? What does it feel like?
What is it like to allow? Yeah, that's it.
What is it like to allow the best version of myself? Is that what you said? What is it like to allow the? And
honestly, I would ask, what does it feel like?
What does it feel like?
What you're commanding there is an emotion. You're commanding an experience that will result in an emotion. Because we know that this place, how it works, right? It's not going to grant you the emotion. You don't just get little fuzzies and then it goes away. And then you're like, oh, that was nice, because you didn't get it in context. It's going to offer you a situation that gives you the result of that feeling. This is the key here. Another good one that I did a few years ago is I dare the universe. What is it like? What is it like to be scared by something big to come in my reality that's so huge and awesome that it scares me? What is it like to experience that? It's not, where's the thing that's not coming in? Why isn't it coming in? What do I need to do? What amount of money? If I could only, it's none of that shit. It's what is it like? What is it like? And it's a genuine curiosity. And I started the what is it like to allow from a genuine curiosity. I'd ask all the other questions I felt. I turned all the other keys. And then I got to this one and it was like, oh, what is it like to, okay. What is it like to allow myself to feel great? What is it like to allow myself to love myself 100%?
So when you put out the question, you're challenging the universe to answer it for you. So when you're saying, what's it like to allow? What does that feel like? It's like you're summoning the answer. As I said, Spirit says you create your world not through the answers we bring, but the questions you ask.
Yes.
So your questions are summoning what you're asking for. Yeah. I need to do a station ID breakdown one. Here we go. Why isn't it working?
You're listening to ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM. Syndicated radio hitting about 120 countries and streaming on 8 platforms.
My guest today is Brandon Thomas from Expanding Reality podcast. We're diving down rabbit holes of sovereignty and freedom and creation and daring the universe to answer your questions through choosing better questions. So when you're in strife, trauma, instead of like, why is this happening to me? Poor me, why is this happening to me? How the hell can I get out of this? Daring the universe to show you something new, something different. How does it feel to be the best version of myself? Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. What does Sun say here? And how does that make you feel? Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
That's a great question. And that's the thing, right? And dude, that's the crux of it. Z Sun Dragon, dude, way to go. You just nailed it on that. He hit it. And how does that make you feel? Okay. So do you mind pulling his back up? And how does that make you feel one more time? We'll come back to this. I like that. Okay. How does that make you feel? Beautiful, beautiful question, phrase, statement here. Okay. This is the key to all of it, guys, because what's emotion? Okay. Emotion is energy in motion. All right. There's another thing I'll tell you about the dark times is move. Depression hates a moving target. Get up, do push-ups. If you've got all this energy and angst, something like this, hit the floor and do as many push-ups.
I love that. Depression hates a moving target. I love that. Depression hates a moving target. Move. Yeah.
All of this is energy. And you know what happens? You're a big sponge and receiver of energy. And unless you are channeling it into something creative, because again, the creators, and it created a mechanism in us to be able to receive inspiration from the realm. and to be able to interpret it into creation, into the form of art, music, writing, connection, community, anything, bettering the systems that were offered. I don't feel that the systems, that anything that's offered out there was meant to last, which is why the realm itself is only going to ramp up and get louder. Our job is to create better from the framework at which we've been offered, sans the bullshit. That's the whole point. It's not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think you're describing this question I've got posed is, how do you feel free as you're pushing against a system that is in place for everybody? Like when you, like, as we've discussed many times, resistance, what you resist persists. So if you're wanting to live inside a new system of sovereignty, feeling free, feeling outside the current system, how do you do that without pushing against the old system? So what I've seen a lot of people who have woken up to the corruption of this world and to the lies that we live under, they spend more time pushing against that than they do creating the new. So and in that's enslavement. When you're like, you're wrong, this is wrong, this isn't right, that's enslavement, and that's not freedom. I mean, sure, that we live we have lived in a environment which has slow moving frequency, so there's a lot of density that we push up against, because that's the crux to moving anything, is not resisting it. Even your illness, like I teach people to thank their pain rather than trying to fix their pain.
Okay.
So
I like, because it is a gift. That pain is an indicator. It's a gift.
Yeah, it's an indicator.
In three ways: feathers, bricks, and trucks. You either get a
So-
little feather that says, hey, you might want to change something. This would just come to your attention. If you don't listen to that, you get a brick upside the head. You don't
So
listen
how do you feel free and not push against the old system?
because I'm not pushing against anything. The thing that I was pushing against, and the thing the system's job is to do, and its only function, is to fuck with your mind. That's it. Remember, Colin, what is
But even that statement is resistance. It's
What is
effing
government-
with your mind. I'm trying not to swear because we are on, YouTube, and I don't know how much swearing we can do on YouTube.
we can do? Well, we're not swearing. We're not saying sick or sorry, and we're only using that in examples. Swearing is subjective. That's are not swear words to me, and I'm not using anybody else's definitions of words right now. We're doing the caveats. So if we take the idea then that okay, let's say the IRS, for instance. Who here in the States lives, or who here in the chat lives in the States? And put a 1 in the chat if you live in the States, if you don't mind. And you're very welcome, Vivaldi. Thank you. I love your work.
Vivaldi,
Yeah.
Vladdy. He's Vladdy's a short version of his name. It is a longer.
Thank you.
It is more like Vivaldi. We've got a lot of. How many people are online? About 20 people still tuning in. Got a lot of Aussies. Son, I don't know where Son is.
That's okay. Leslie K, what's up? Shout out. Represent.
Leslie, yeah, Leslie's.
For instance, the IRS. Are you in Australia familiar with the IRS? Okay, so IRS, for instance, the International Internal Revenue Service. It's before I got into this process, and even at the beginning of it, first few years, I was like, what's going on here? It's a scary thing. Okay, but all the scare tactic is in that they have papers, and their language is weird, and they have all these small print, and you got all these boxes, and if you fuck it up, you don't get your money right, and you're doing something, they can come get you and arrest you and do all this stuff. And it's true. If you are contracted into the system, they do have jurisdiction, and you do need to fill that paperwork out correctly, okay? Because you're playing a game with them. You've checked a box, you've decided to play the game, and now you're in a world where those rules exist. But what I've done is pulled myself out of that world, out of that part of that world, and that those are not, I'm not subject to that jurisdiction anymore. I did this in 2 ways. Number one, I freed myself from what's called the U.S. citizen. The U.S. citizen, lowercase c, was established by the 14th Amendment of our Constitution here. Still the greatest document ever. But what the 14th Amendment did was it instituted citizenship. Now, that is a box that you need to check. You need to volunteer that you're a part of it, because by definition, a citizen lives in the 10 square mile radius of Washington, D.C., or works for the federal government. Okay. Now, if you do neither of those things, if you live in Montana and work at Trader Joe's, then you're not a U.S. citizen. You are checking that box because you're choosing to be a part of a corporation that nobody told you was a corporation, and that you even had other options. Again, there's a third door, and that's the thing, is there are even 3 countries going on here. Technically, you are in one of them, called the federal corporation, if you're still signed up for that, but it's a voluntary system. So you could choose that. Canada, we're working on it with you. You're almost the 51st state, baby. We got you. But then if you look at it deeper, there are bigger options within that, because even within this system, there are 2-party systems, right? There's this idea of red and blue, and you either get this or that. That's a game. That's a trap. Once you escape that trap, you see that there's something bigger going on, and that trap doesn't apply to you anymore because you got out of it. It's not like people are chasing you with bear traps trying to get you back in. You just make sure you stay away from that shit. That's it. And your words keep you away from it. You keep your jurisdiction out of minimum contacts is what it's called. And you just remove yourself from the system in that way. Now, you still operate your Inslee, just which is called, again, it's a fictional character, but it's like your social security account. So you still operate that, but you separate yourself from it. And again, what you're doing here is creating layers of protection and buffer between you and the imaginary system, the game. Okay. So when I really understood this and learned about it, the IRS, I called them on my birth anniversary to get my 98 Foreign Grantor Trust EIN number. I called them at 5 a.m. my time. I had coffee. I was very excited about it. I did it on my birthday. This is my relationship and how it's changed. I get letters from them weekly, their forms, their communiques, their CP575s. I know what their role is, and their role is an intermediary between me and the Treasury. Now, nothing changed about the IRS, okay? The only thing that changed was my ignorance about them. What changed was, again, the only enemy you've ever got, which is right here between your ears. The fear of you moving forward because something's big and scary and going to get you. And the more that I look at the government, nobody out there with F-16s and shit's coming after me. I'm not playing the game. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm a national. I unsubscribe from the system. I let them know that I'm not operating in that and that I'm not part of their system. That's it. It's easy. There's no fight here. The resistance, I'm telling you, Karen, is right here. I'm simply running from a system. No one's coming to get me. I have no fear. That's the first thing that you battle. And then you realize that's the last battle. There's no battle anymore.
Yeah, interesting.
It's on your
What are you saying? Good, not good and bad. Yeah. Yes. Well, I have seen this conversation's been going on for a long time. All that stuff that you're talking about, citizen, living, and I've seen people, not pay their parking fines and not get a license because they're living outside the system. And a friend of mine, about 20 odd years ago was telling me about this, and she stopped paying parking fines, stopped getting a license. And then she was arrested and went to court, and they fined her thousands of dollars, and she couldn't get out of that. But she couldn't explain to them what you've explained to them. Like she couldn't, because everyone's locked in the system, and these are the laws and these are the rules. And she was trying to live outside of that, but then, not buying a driver's license or paying parking fees just didn't cut for the system.
Well, if
they didn't take her to jail, though. She was worried that she was going to go to jail.
If done properly, you sign it away and endorse the court. Before you even go to court, it's handled and done and over. Because there's a few different things on that. So in the United States, you only need a driver's license if you are in commerce, if you are being paid to operate that vehicle. And that's what's called a driver. And in fact, the word driver is jurisdictional. So if I say I'm driving my car, I've just told them that I'm doing it for commerce and therefore need a license. If I say I'm operating my vehicle or traveling, those are non-jurisdictional terms. Again, it's back to words. Those are non-jurisdictional terms that do not jurisdict me into that game because it is just a game. It was created in the early 1800s because a senator's daughter got hit by a trucker who was pushing it too hard across the country. He said, we got to do something, instituted this idea of driver's licenses, which is to license and fee people and then register vehicles that you don't own, by the way. It's all in trust, that you are now the beneficiary, therefore you have the liability over. And so all of this stuff, guys, it's in trust and it's in language. I highly recommend you check out the Word Magic by Pao Chang. And
what do you think about marriage license? Like needing a license?
Doesn't need to be in your business at all. You don't need to ask anyone for permission. And here's the thing about the Constitution. This little book right here, this little representation of a document does not tell me any of my rights. It validates that my rights exist. That's all. So it doesn't grant you rights. So in the
What's the name of that book again for people listening on radio?
Constitution.
Called The Constitution of the United States of America. And who's the author of that book? The Constitution, the government. The Founding Fathers. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson and the founding gang. But your word, guys. So this is the whole thing about this. So yes, the thing about the system is there for money. When you see what this is, you see that it's maritime courts, and that's what the bar or statute system is all about. It's all money. It's mafia, really. Whenever you see a judge and he's sitting on a different plane to you, that shows authority, and that shouldn't happen at all. In equity court, you're on common grounds. We are all on the same plane together because we treat each other equally. In a democracy, 51% of the people get to tell 49% of the people how to live their lives. And that's not the world that I live in. I live in a republic, where as long as you are not removing anyone else's right, their right to life, their right to property, their right to privacy, any of those things, then you're not doing anything wrong. And it's an interesting concept for people who need to be governed. Sovereignty is not for everybody. A lot of people like being told what to do. A lot of folks out there running around going, govern me harder, daddy. And they're going to get that. And that's fine. But it's not going to get saner. It's going to get crazier so that you figure out what I'm telling you and empower yourself to get the fuck away from it.
Well, the word sovereignty in itself means self-governance. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has anything to do. It's been taken by people like you that are looking into the system and to law and how it's all been structured in a way that doesn't make you free. It makes you under a corporation. But the word sovereignty itself just means self-governance. And for me, that means being a governor over how you feel and what you think.
Yep.
So you can live inside a system that's sort of corrupt and still feel free. That's why I shared the story about the man who was in jail for 7 years in a coffin-like cell. Like you can live inside any system, but you have governance over how you view that and how you think about it.
Could not agree more.
You can be appreciative for the system that you've got, even though it's a corrupt system. You can still feel thankful.
It is beautiful, because what's awesome here, and in the States, we have this opportunity is, guys, if you're checking the box citizen, that little box that you check is exactly the representation of the prison that you are putting yourself in as far as the freedoms I experience, with exactly what she's saying here. Okay. U.S. citizen, when you're checking that box, that's it. You get a 3x3 cell that's 6 feet long, and you get out once a week to stretch your legs a little bit if you're lucky. If you're a good boy. And the thing that I'm doing and what I figured out is I was in the same exact 3x6 box. It's just I found a key in that thing. You've got to look for it, but it's there. And everyone's cell has a key in it. They hide it. They paint it the same color as the walls, and you got to know where to look. Okay. But it's there. And this is the best analogy I can come up with. You're not supposed to just run around all free. You've got to free yourself. No one's going to come find the key for you. There are tons of folks out there that can show you the way and give you clues. Go here. No, look left. 3 bricks over, 4 bricks down. Those kind of things. But you've got to take the damn thing out, and you've got to utilize the thing, because that is how you self-govern. If I were to go unlock your cage for you and you run off, you die instantly. You are chewed up by the system. You're contracted back in a second, and you are back in that whirlpool, or worse. That is what folks like your friend do. And that's unfortunate. I am only making the moves I'm comfortable with. I'm looking to be only a threat to those that do me harm, and especially not a threat to myself. So if there's a lot of things in this community that I know that I have the power to do that I'm not making moves on yet, because I'm not comfortable to do that. My nervous system needs to be brought up to speed on the understanding of why I'm making the moves that I'm making. And with each one, I become more empowered and feel more free and know that I'm more free. This has been the key for me. This has been it. It's been huge, and it's unlocked everything. And I mean everything.
Well, I feel like in this time of great shift, in the Great Awakening, everything's up for review. Every way we operate here on Earth is up for review. Every single system, not just our governance and our laws, but our transport systems, our educational systems, our food systems. It's all up for review. And and it all, in order to move into a freer, more unified world, it all needs to change. Yeah, so diving down these rabbit holes of what does it all mean is what we're doing. It's questioning.
Nailed it. And let's talk about income tax real quick, because tax is a big part of this. And folks will go, I've heard my dad, for instance.
She remembers getting a pen license at school.
Yeah, see, this is the bureaucracy. I would have thought that and used pencils. But my dad, for instance, will sit there and say, well, if you're not paying taxes, and who's going to pay for the roads and stuff like that? Great question. Okay. It's rooted in fear, but it's a great question. All right. So let's break down taxes real quick. Okay. There are things called incidental taxes that we all pay. You're paying property tax, and that goes to education, which we can talk about you funding that type of education and really taking your money and funding unschooling programs. And I've got a list of them that you could go with. We know Dr. Edith Ubuntu Chan. Has she been on here?
Yes. Okay. I loved her. You
I
told me about her. She's just awesome. Dr. Edith Ubuntu Chan. So she was talking about her kids. But we've got 7 minutes left to go, so we have to make this.
Okay, so income tax is considered a 5 as far as your gift tax goes, guys. So the reason is in the government, what they're doing with kids and wars and all kinds of shit, deep states, all kinds of stuff, tricking you, fucking with your mind even more is because people throw cash at them and they don't know what to do with all of it. They're not reinvesting in it in you directly. They're investing it in ways for you to wake yourself up by making the world out there so inhospitable that you create a better one for yourself. This is the whole
Right.
point, guys. It's
Mhm.
this is the catalyst. You are the creator that creates from the inspiration out there. The inspiration's not meant to be taken literally. It's not meant for you to think that it's going to be around forever or that it's serious. It's not. It's not literal. You're taking it seriously and buying into the game, which makes it real, which is the power of this place and you. If you simply unsubscribe from that shit, there is a freedom in that. And yes, my ins legis does, and it's a great question. So I have a social
So the
security.
question is for people on radio, Isabella says, do you have a social security number, Brandon?
Oh yeah, I forgot we need to read this. People can't. Okay, so I have control over my social security account. So everyone, when you were born in this establishment here, if you were signed up in the birth certificate arena, you have a 9-digit number, 9 to 13-digit number on there, and that is also the same amount of numbers as a bank account, and that's not by accident. That is a manifest of future labor. It's a security interest. So you have a social security number, but what a lot of folks are doing before you understand this is you are being treated as that account. Therefore, you are picked off of, you are all of that. Now, when you figure this out, you separate yourself from that thing. And I have a social security account that I'm the trustee of, but I am not the social security account. There's a big difference. And when you see your name in all caps on a bill or something like that, that's the social security account. That's what's called your ins legis. It's a legal fiction that they are operating as you, but it's not you. But you figure this out. Then you go fill out your Form 56 from the IRS and your 8822B, and you assign that social security number to yourself. And then you put it as trust res in your living trust, which is what I've done with my birth certificate. So now I have control over those accounts, but I'm not those accounts. But I'm not looking to get rid of this. I know part of this movement is to kill off the security account and all that. I'm not interested in that because it's way more powerful to use it if you know how.
It feels to me like you're a systems buster.
Girl,
You're a disruptor, a systems buster. And I have to say, that is a powerful job in this world. I am not one of those people. I'm not a systems buster. There's a lot of talk like this in Australia. There's a lot of groups that talk about this stuff. And as I've been listening to it for like 25 years. But it does my head in it. Like I feel like I'm just spiraling. I don't understand half of it. And I'm happy for people to do it and to change the system. I'm happy for them, but I don't feel like I've got a part in it. Maybe I'm busting the system when it comes to, like the reality of who we are as psychic beings, as spiritual beings, and we're not our physical circumstances or our physical body or even our thoughts, that we're so much more. Maybe I'm busting that system.
And I'm
like
looking forward to being able to come back to that. What I found was I kept getting pulled back to what I'd like to call reality, but it's not. It's simply the step that I needed to make to see my sovereign ass self. And I've never felt more godlike than in this process. This unlocked me. This connected me to spirituality in a way I never knew was possible. This empowered me in a way that I never knew was possible because I don't connect like you do to the things. We've had conversations about this. I'm fascinated by all this stuff, but I've not had the experiences that other folks talk about. I don't even dream. I've got, psychedelic experiences, but nothing like I was a psychonaut for like 20 years. So what I'm saying is that you have a connection that I don't connect with. What I needed to do was to make it practical and connect with it for me. Now, I have connected to the highest fucking version of myself so far, and I continue to allow the higher one to trickle in because you can't hold it all at once, right? Allegedly, but I don't know. I'm getting pretty strong. I feel good. So we're letting more and more in all the time. But this idea of allowing, now I have changed now, not even the question. I have changed it to a statement of congratulations for allowing the highest version of yourself to come in. That's it. Congratulations on allowing your dreams to come in.
You say that you're not connected to spirit in a way that I am, but you are. The thing about it is that it's your thoughts talking to you. And like I used to call it my common sense when I was young, because I had no idea that I was speaking to an intelligent part of myself outside of my ego. But everyone has God or source or soul or spirit talking to them. And it's just the thoughts. It's the thoughts in your head. And when you can distinguish the frequency of thoughts, the intent behind thoughts, like that it's not you when you have a question in your head, how the hell does that work? And you get the answer. Before you can even finish the question, you get the answer. You know someone's answering you, and it's outside of your logic, like you working it out. And that your mind works so fast, like that you're doing that all the time. You're just not distinguishing the difference because you're just seeing it all as your thoughts. I mean, it's all you, but it's like there's higher parts of you. There's, outside of the part of you that is the human egoic logic structure. Yeah.
The ego is the one that I'm still holding by the hand every now and then. I'll be honest. It's still the tricky. It's the dude that
I love the ego. I love the ego.
Well, he's got to feel the way he does, and we don't hate on him. We don't judge him. He's right here asking great fucking questions. Questions the higher versions of us just are confident about. He's got a little bit of clarity. He'd like a little bit of clarity, and we offer it, and it's fine.
Yeah. That ego part of us is the part that doesn't remember who we are as God, I suppose, who we are as infinite intelligence. And so that ego part of us is the questioner. And this is what the spirit guides have said, you create your world more through your questions than our answers. So your questions summon. And so what's asking the question? If you're totally only higher self, you have no questions because you're tapped into all that is, right? So that you have to be pinched off from that and feel like you don't know to ask the question. I don't know about that. Like, tell me more about that. So that is the ego part of you. And she has such an important role in this human life. I love her, but so many people have demonized it. And she can go into spirals. He can go into spirals of not enoughness. And that separation that gap between you and your higher self gets bigger and bigger and bigger. When you feel disconnected, that's when you want to reconnect so badly you're eyeing the gun, right? Because what's being sort of surging through you is that reconnection. Like, I want to get reconnected back to love again. I want to go back to love. I want to go back to love. And a lot of people do that by unaliving themselves. Dying one, we have run out of time.
Well, that's okay. We've ran out of time on this show, but thank you all so much in the chat, everybody. I didn't catch the YouTube chat, but I'm sure it was delightful. But this private chat, whoever this is, thank you all so much. Everybody was so sweet. And of course, if you're
most of them are on YouTube. The chat that you're seeing here, YouTube, and I don't see too many Facebook ones, but Dying One. I can't wait to hear your amazing news. I guess we'll have to all wait.
It's you guys go ahead
dangling the carrot. He's saying, I've got amazing news, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
You'll be hearing me very, very soon, and it's fucking awesome. So I'll just say it like that. And just thank you so much, Karen. You hold just such a special place in my heart. Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you, everyone, for your great. Zan really enjoyed this. Thanks, Dying One, for your great questions, and Mish and Shirley and Diane and Vladdy. I'm just looking at all your beautiful names here, and Moby, and you had a few fans here. There was someone called the one that was like, Brandon's awesome, and Sherry. Hey, Sherry and Heidi, everybody, big love to you all.
Go check us out at Patreon and Instagram, Expanding Reality 369 on Instagram, and then Expanding Reality on Patreon. Go check that out, guys. Love y'all.
All the links are in the description notes. You'll see. And next week we're going to do a show with. I just hung out with Judith Collins down in the country. It's like an hour and a half away from me in the city, and she's going to do some mini aura readings next week. So if you want your aura read, come on next week. The Spirit Speak shows I do. I said she won't read my aura because she said, now you're my friend, I don't read my friends. So I don't know exactly how she does it because I haven't seen her do it, but she assures me she's amazing, and I'm pretty sure she is. She's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And so if you want your aura read, it'll be a mini aura reading, obviously. Just pop your name and question in the chat, and she'll do what she does, and we'll see how it goes. It's a bit of an experiment for me, but that's going to be fun. So catch you all next time. Big love. Bye for now. Ciao, darling. All right.